Welcome into another edition of The Meltdown. We are here live with you. Appreciate all of those in the chat. We're all gearing up for the Oscars this Sunday, or as I like to call it, the long-awaited Oppenheimer Love Fest. We'll discuss all the potential winners, and John will unveil his 5 favorites that were nominated for Best Picture. The scary teddy bear movie, Imaginary, released in theaters last night. Is the movie better than its first trailer was? And Laurel Lunsford stops by to make an appearance. It's all happening right here as we get you ready for The Meltdown, presented by MyBookie, broadcasting live from the Culver studio.
2 big boys in a tiny studio, teaching you and me about everything they know that makes up a meltdown. It's the meltdown, time for the meltdown, coming for the meltdown. Let's start the show.
Indeed, let's start the show. So happy to have Rockstar laying down our theme song right there with a lot of Saved by the Bell looking graphics. Can't get over how good that looks. John, you did a fantastic job with that.
It does kind of sound like Saved by the Bell theme.
Okay.
It does. I just thought of that. Was
Sure.
that on purpose?
That was not on purpose. I had already made it before I ever even heard the song, and then kind of left it alone. So I should probably put these two together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like you just had an epiphany.
I did, because just thinking about the Saved by the Bell theme.
Okay. Well, there we go. Now we're going to get sued. So thank you for all your loyal contributions.
Sue.
Yeah.
We appreciate all of our loyal Meltdonians that are with us on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. Feel free to interact with us during the show using that live chat. We love hearing from you, especially around Luntz's List, where you lay out your top 5 of a certain category. You will have had to have seen some movies this year to participate, I think, in this edition of Luntz's List. Tyler, welcome into the show. you're back there making everything happen. How are you, man? What's going on in your world?
Well, to be honest, Tim, I'm starting today's show with a heavy heart. Yesterday, we got the news that Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, sadly passed away last night.
Well, that's awful. I thought you were going to say you and the Dune popcorn bucket broke up, but
No.
We're on the rocks. We're on the rocks, but
okay. Well, look, you're a huge Dragon Ball fan. I'm sorry, I cut the tension there too quickly. John is beat red right now with that joke, but no, I know there's a lot of Dragon Ball fans. I'm not one of them, but I know there's a lot of them that are in mourning today for sure. But what's your favorite thing about Dragon Ball, Tyler?
oh gosh, the world, it's so vast. You've got roughly 5 seasons of the original Dragon Ball series, another 9 seasons of Dragon Ball Z, and then another 4 or 5 of Dragon Ball GT, and then Dragon Ball Super is still going. This is a franchise that's been going since the 80s.
Right.
I always try to get into it because I used to watch Adult Swim religiously for like during the week, Family Guy and stuff on there. It would come on there, and then some of the original stuff, Robot Chicken, Rick and Morty, all that. But then Saturday they do Toonami and they bring on all anime, and that's how I got into something like Sword Art Online, which is the only anime I think I've like fully watched. But Dragon Ball was always one they would show too, and it's like I need to get into this. I know it's a big thing. I could absolutely never get into it. Anime is just not my thing, but yeah, I know it's a big thing worldwide, though.
I pay my respects to all of the fans. Rockstar, I think we're on an island over here.
Yeah. Wow. What was it? Toonami?
Yeah, that's what Toonami used to be something different, and then like Adult Swim picked it up.
Yeah, they changed it. It wasn't cool.
Toonami was a late night block on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, you don't have to remind me.
It's basically every Saturday night now is what they do.
Yep.
Rockstar, welcome back. We missed you yesterday for sure, but happy to have you back in the saddle. But
thank you for having me.
There's something we've got to iron out behind the scenes here.
Okay.
Lunce's list from yesterday.
Yeah.
We need to talk about it because the task for Lunce's list yesterday was pick 5 musical artists that you have not seen that you would pay your hard-earned money to see immediately.
Okay.
And John put his heart into this list, and person by person by person by person today has come into this office and ripped John's heart out of his chest. Mm-hmm. It is beating like a scene from Temple of Doom in his hand.
I'm dumb
and it is doing this right here. And John has been emotionally affected by it, I think.
Oh, I've heard him sigh a lot.
He's been upset, and I want to give you a chance, Rockstar, to make an argument as to
also destroy it. Yes, go ahead.
As to why the list didn't meet your standards of musical artists that John Lunsford would pay to see. Because if you look at the list here, there's a lot of variety in this list. You got to give him credit for the variety.
Yeah,
what's going on here?
Y'all talking about Dragon Ball. The first thing I thought of Dragon Ball, I thought Pokemon. I was like, that's got to be like a Pokemon band. I've never heard of Dragon Force. Weird Al, I can see that because he is a once-in-a-lifetime thing because it's so awkward to see him. He puts everything into his music. He does outfit changes and everything. I told John I think Weird Al should do a Super Bowl halftime. I got laughed at by some people in here, but Weird Al should do a Super Bowl.
You brought that
halftime.
up multiple times, and I 100% agree. Yeah. I think it would be laughed at constantly going into halftime of the Super Bowl, and everybody would come out of that thinking, that was entertaining. Yeah. I haven't been entertained like that in the Super Bowl.
And the majority
before.
of people was like, we're going to watch it because like I just want to see what the hell this guy
is
does.
Stupid.
And then
you
be
come
like,
off
okay,
like
that wasn't that bad.
I have not warmed up to the idea yet, but I'm trying.
It's so different. I get why it's weird, but then think about it, it's like not a bad idea.
Foo Fighters, are they a hard band to see?
They're not. I just haven't seen them. So I would like to see them when they came to Birmingham last summer. I didn't, because I don't go to a lot of concerts. Right. So I don't get the notifications of, hey, the Foo Fighters are coming until it's too late. And then I only really knew because it got mentioned around the office or something. And it's like, oh, they were coming. Well, then the third-party ticket market after that, because I don't know when the last time they would have been here, and obviously it was following Taylor Hawkins and all that, that everybody wanted to go see them, and they were super expensive tickets to get. And I was like, I don't care that much to go see really hardly anybody minus my number one, so I'm not going to pay that to go see them.
Shocker, they were here last year.
That's what I'm saying. Before last year, I don't know when the last time they were here. That was the hot ticket.
Because it was raining, and they had that. There was a huge delay.
Yeah, apparently I didn't miss much because of that.
The Weeknd, I know 2 songs. I like the Blinding Lights, and then what's the Can't Feel My Face. Yep. I'm out after that. Daft Punk, I respect them. I can't imagine a full concert of that. Like I can do 2 or 3 songs and I'm out. But for that to be number 1, is awkward to me.
Let me preface this by saying, I said going in, I'm way more about the show than I am just sitting back and listening to the
So you
music.
want more of the visual.
Having super long solos and stuff like that. Like the weekend would be more visual. Kind of like how Taylor Swift is.
Yes.
Taylor Swift's music is good, but the visual is incredible. I saw Lady Gaga in Vegas. Her residency was incredible from a visual standpoint. She had this big robot. She was walking around stage and everything. That's what I like.
Well, have you ever seen Pink?
See, Pink is somebody I actually considered. Yeah. I have zero interest in her music, but I have seen clips from her concerts where she's flying around and doing all kind of acrobatic stuff. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I just trying to mix the actually like their music with. I wouldn't mind seeing the show too. So that's the top two I feel like, because I saw The Weeknd he did an HBO special where he did his concert at SoFi. It was really cool to watch. Daft Punk would have the show because really and truly they're not legitimately doing a lot of music playing there. So that's why something like that would be good for me.
So out of 5, I agree with 1, and it's Weird Al.
Okay.
Yep. So and he got upset, but that's why you make lists, because people are going to agree with you and disagree with you. This is going to be a big disagree, but you tried, man. You tried. You're a punk and you're daft.
Thank you.
There's just a lot of...
Oh, you missed it. He was playing Dragon Force in here earlier before you got in. You got back here.
Well, they just did a show and they had these two giant dragons. It's one red and one blue that were like blowing smoke on people and stuff while they were playing.
Are they DJs?
Plus, just look up Herman Lee. L.I. is his last name. Herman Lee. You don't do it right now, but after the fact, look him up, playing the guitar. He's done a great job like getting on Twitch and like showing how he does stuff. And they're one of those that just does like crazy licks the entire time. And it's just fun to watch. It's fun to watch that. It's fun to watch the drummers. It's fun to watch all the musicians. It's a metal band. Not my thing at all, but it's just fun to watch them.
Okay.
Is it time to say goodbye to the list? I think it is. Here we go. This is going to be painful. It's been painful for John all day long.
Been spending most of our lives working in an Amish paradise.
What's his best album?
Running with Scissors? No, I don't.
No, that's it.
I'm sorry to how painful
UHF is a fantastic movie. I suggest anybody to go recommend it. From 1988, 89 with Weird Al Yankovic. Fantastic. Victoria Jackson's in it. Go ahead.
I was going to say, John, I think we have a special guest at the window. Can you, what can we do with the camera here to show people who...
Hold on, stay.
Nobody's
Don't
at the
come in
window
yet.
right
We didn't
now.
come and get you.
What's going on here?
Who's at the window? Hey.
I already said it was Laurel Lunsford earlier in here. Laurel, come on in. Rockstar, get the door. Be a gentleman. Get the door for Laurel.
I feel like I should have practiced it.
Okay.
Sorry.
We
only did this last Friday.
Hey, this is only your second time doing this. Get in here. This is always insane when we have guests. We got to get the door shut. That door's always got to be
I thought
shut.
Sean was going to... I just...
normally-
he should have, yeah.
We've run through this thousands of times, and that was the best we could pull off. Laurel, I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for joining us
to be
again.
Back. This is very, very... I dressed up even. I thought I should look nicer than last week. So.
You're shiny.
Yeah.
Sparkly.
I'm trying.
I feel like this is just how you dress, though. Am I wrong about that?
I try. But I thought I needed to be more impressive because it's like the pre-Oscar show.
Gotcha.
And
That's what this is?
Yeah.
That's what this is, yeah.
Oh. Is that this week?
There's a reason you moved to seat 2.
Oh, I thought this was seat 1. Like this was like the... Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to...
Hey, I do want to talk about one thing before we get into that Oscar talk. There's a documentary that has come out at South by Southwest. It actually premieres today. Jesse Eisenberg is behind this. You may know him from The Social Network or Zombieland or Batman v Superman. I'm trying to think about it.
I was wondering if you were going to say that or not if we trashed Zack Snyder yesterday.
And his sister is the girl that was the Pepsi girl for the longest time with the curly hair. That is Jesse Eisenberg's
that's right.
sister. Yep.
And she was in... I feel like she was in some movies, too.
I just remember she was the Pepsi girl for the longest time.
I did not know that.
Britney Spears was a Pepsi girl for me for a long time.
Cindy Crawford. Ray Charles. Go ahead.
We're proudly Coke people here. He's producing a new documentary that's coming out called Secret Mall Apartment. I've shown the trailer to Rocky. I've shown the trailer to Tyler. I think Lunsford overheard the trailer. But this is a story about a real group of artists that found a place in a mall, Providence Place Mall, that was constructed in the late 90s in Rhode Island. And they decided they were going to build an apartment under the guise of no one knowing they were going in there and live there. And they got away with it for like 4 years. And I find it to be a fascinating documentary because, John, if you remember in our career, we spent a lot of time going to the mall, killing some time before shows and stuff. It's always just been a special place to me because I've always known this is going to be something that eventually dies out.
Yeah, malls in general are going to die out. And the one we were at was already dead. They just didn't know it yet here in town, and it is officially closed now, and they haven't done anything with it. It's still just sitting there.
We
but
should go live there. We should go.
There's
build
no
out
way,
an
there's no
apartment.
way you could pull that off.
I mean, hey, nobody would check. One night, Tim and I stayed there legitimately till like 1 a.m, and they never said a word. People would come in and clean. They just look at us and keep going. We literally sat in the chairs and just talked. We were just hanging out, and we literally stayed there forever. So this also makes me think, so Stranger Things Season 3, the whole premise is the Russians are building like a secret base under their mall, their main mall, the Starcourt Mall. And it's like, how on earth would nobody realize that the Russians are doing all this stuff under the mall? And it's like, well, apparently these people lived in the mall for 4 years and they never realized it. So maybe it's a little more plausible now.
They got away with it. They had a sofa, TV, video game system, microwave, and they built a wall of cinder blocks to try to keep themselves covered up to where no one would notice. They had to get through security guards. It's just an interesting story. I'm glad that this documentary exists, and I have a feeling it's going to take South by Southwest by storm tonight.
What I have questions to poke holes in the story, I apologize, is this just something we have it and we could just go to it, or somebody literally slept there and lived there for 4 years? I just think it was kind of like a meeting ground for 4 years until it was discovered. Like saying we have a sofa doesn't mean much. Like I think it's like we can go, because imagine undetected every night to get in there, to go to sleep, wake up, go to work or whatever. So,
I have a feeling there were people living there around the clock.
Okay.
But it may have been a shift change sort
Yeah,
of
'cause
thing.
I
I
just
don't know.
don't-
I
I
haven't seen
can't-
the documentary.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm concerned about. But that's an amazing feat to do. That makes me think of Inside Man.
And if they were artists, then, probably didn't actually have jobs to go to. Just saying.
Very big point.
I think
Or they worked at Claire's.
it's a very interesting movie. The director says it's almost like a heist movie because they had to continuously get certain supplies in under the noses of security guards, and they actually had a lot of footage from the apartment, and they reconstructed the apartment so that way they could shoot more for the film. But it is something on my list that when it becomes available on either a streaming service or, who knows, some sort of local venue plays it, I will check it out for sure. But do you have fond memories of the mall, Laurel? Is that a place you spent a lot of time?
I love the mall. In fact, I will say there is a local mall that's close to our house that it's busy. Like when I go, it's still pretty crowded. I do think that malls have kind of had a resurgence though because of Stranger Things. Because I see so many people that love that whole aesthetic of it. And the one thing I always say to John, do you ever wish that there was a Blockbuster still open?
Oh, so yes.
Suncoast.
Yeah.
Suncoast was the best, but Blockbuster has a very specific smell.
Correct.
Like it just had this certain smell that when you walked in, it
Smelled like the VHS cases.
Yeah.
How fun was it to go on a Friday and pick out a movie and to see if it
Or a
was
video game.
Or a video game.
Yeah.
We just don't have anything like that anymore. And I think you would have it popular for nostalgia purposes. I don't think you could keep it going week after week. But, if you're bored, wouldn't it be fun just to go check out Blockbuster?
I think they call it the library or something where they do this sort of thing where you go in and you take a piece of physical media and you
Right.
go up and
Yeah, but there's too many books there.
I know.
You have to be
Books
quiet.
are books are
Can't be
boring.
loud.
No, but they have like board
Where's
games
Sam
and
Goody?
they have all sorts of things that you can check
Camelot.
out.
Yeah, but it's also not yellow and blue either.
Okay, let's leave it
Sorry.
at that. I used to love going to the video store. I used to love going to the mall, and I always hated going to the dentist. Not anymore, though. When you find a good dentist, it's such a relief. For the past year, I've enjoyed the experience at Alabama Dental Associates. They're on Grants Mill Road. Dr. Jeff and Dr. Brian are the best at what they do. I've had bad dentist experiences in the past at other practices. I'm not going back to those days of dreading regular checkups. You shouldn't either. They have the friendliest staff in the business. You'll hear that friendly tone from the first time you pick up the phone and make an appointment with Alabama Dental Associates at 205-956-8977. That's 956-8977. The team ready to help you with all of your dental care needs at alabamadental.com. We've got to talk about a movie you guys just saw that is Imaginary. Laurel, John, you saw it last night. We're going to hand the microphone to Tyler because Tyler has a just on fire out of the theater reaction first
Rapid.
impression that's available on our Meltdown channel. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to get all the latest notifications. Tyler, what did you think of Imaginary?
I thought it was a pretty good horror movie, especially if you're into the internet horror trends that I mentioned in my out of the theater reaction, the PT Momo challenge, Blue Whale challenge. It takes a lot of inspiration from some of those that you see on YouTube. or TikTok or other places, and it kind of puts a twist on that, on the original like Child's Play Chucky story with that internet horror style.
Okay. Very viral sort of hit, if it is going to be a hit. Is this one going to be a hit, Laurel? Is this the real deal, Imaginary?
Our theater had a pretty good amount of people in it. That is the thing about horror movies, is I think they're great for friends to go to the movies. I think they're good for dates. If you're just looking for something and you don't want to see Dune 2 because you're like, I don't want to spend 3 hours. This movie's like an hour and 45 minutes. I could see it making money. I could see it being a total bomb like that pool movie. What was the pool movie called?
Oh, Night Swim. That
Night
was
Swim.
horrendous. Please don't watch that.
I could also see it being pretty strong because there's not really anything else that fits that description.
In February 2023, Deadline Hollywood reported that Lionsgate acquired worldwide rights to the Blumhouse horror film Imaginary. The film had a chance to be put out there by Universal. They have first look deals on all Blumhouse titles, but they opted not to release Imaginary. Do you think that was a wise move, John Lunsford?
It doesn't matter. Honestly, this is a movie that's going to be, look, it's not that bad. Blumhouse, I told Laurel last night, I was like, look, Blumhouse does like 1 out of every 5 movies are really good. Whether that's horror, because they've done some non-horror stuff too.
Laurel is restraining herself right now.
I stand by. You actually kind of agree with me earlier, but it's pretty good. Pretty good. That's kind of how it is. This is one of those, it wasn't awful. It's not like the thing is, we're going to remember Madam Web because it was so awful. We're going to remember Doom because it was like the first big moment of the year. The franchise is really good. Good director, cast, everything. It was really good. This is one of those that 3 months from now, I'm going to forget even existed. I'm going to forget probably next week until another Imaginary Friend movie comes out with John Krasinski and Ryan Reynolds' version. And it's like, oh yeah, this is the same thing, just the kids' version of the one that came out before. It's just forgettable. It's fine, but because it's fine and just average, it's forgettable. And it's going to make $10 million this week or so, but it costs less, or it costs about $10 million. So ultimately it's going to end up making money probably long term.
Oh, yes.
It's what horror movies do. And look, every Blumhouse movie is that way. I don't know what his whole box office, receipts are, but
it's very good.
I'd be willing to bet almost every single movie he's ever touched has ultimately made money, because that's what horror movies for the most part do. And even the Whiplashes and Black Klansmen and stuff like that with the Oscar buzz then ultimately generate some revenue too.
Exorcist, the latest Exorcist was Blumhouse, right?
Yes.
I think that may have been the only monetary failure that Blumhouse has had.
And that was about, it's really bad.
Because they overpaid big time for those rights.
And it was awful.
And I did not hear good things at all.
One last thing about Imaginary, and I just have to ask, and I guess people can chime in too, but everyone else, has a dad ever done anything in a horror movie? This man in this movie, I swear, he looks like a cross between Sebastian Stan and Harry Styles. And by the time we got to the third scene, I looked over at John, I was like, please let us know what this guy does for a living, because some things are not adding up.
It's no spoiler, but the dude's a musician, and it's like,
lo and behold,
shocker.
Lo and behold,
it's really not a spoiler. He's never in the trailer.
As things are just starting to go haywire, he goes,
Look,
I'm going on tour.
He's never in the trailer. There's never a dad. You can tell it's like a stepmom and 2 kids, and it's like clearly these kids had to come from somewhere. He's never in the trailer, and sure enough, 5 minutes of the movie, he disappears and never comes back. It's like, we had to find some way to put these people together. The dad's that glue at the first 5 minutes and disappears. It's like, what does this guy do for a living? Oh, he's a musician. That makes sense. Okay.
And we see him just like, he's got, the tattered jeans on. He's got a bunch of bracelets.
I'm going on tour. Bye.
And he just waves out the window goodbye as everything is going to hell.
It has nothing to do with the story.
It
has nothing to do with anything. It's just so random.
I finally thought of a dad that did something in a horror movie. Dad from Insidious. He saves the kid.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Which this movie is very similar to Insidious Red Door.
It actually is kind of similar to those movies, but yeah.
Okay, that was a very passionate take on the dad from Imaginary. If you were looking for that kind of content, we're the place for you. But maybe he was imaginary.
Hey, The Exorcist cost $30 million. I'm sure there were rights paid before, but The Exorcist new one that came out cost $30 million and made $140 million.
No, but they ended up paying
I know they probably paid a lot for just the
$250,000 or something for the rights.
But ultimately, if he does one more movie, it's going to make it back.
But I don't know if they are. I don't know if they are.
Jason Momoa's been doing whatever the hell he wants to do, and he's going to end up putting another movie out and being like, but they're not all bad. The first one was good, right? We got to make another one like that.
Let's go to the chat here. Justin is reminiscing over Movie Gallery. Thanks to Laurel. Charles said, I worked at Movie Gallery during college. Loved that job. Justin wants to know, John, is there any chance that we'd start streaming the poker games that we play on Monday nights?
I want to get a super expensive RFID table and get cameras installed and everything, then sure. But I'm not quite good enough at poker to have won that much money to do that, so we'll see.
You're already getting bashed for Luntz's list. You might as well get bashed for your poker play too, I guess.
Yeah. Sorry, I actually made money last time. So
one thing that's going to make money, we mentioned it, is Imaginary. It already made $725,000 in previews last night. It was on a budget of 10 to 12 million. It's targeting a debut of 10 to 14 million this weekend. I want to go around and see where people are on what's going to win the box office this weekend. Will it be Kung Fu Panda 4 or will it be Dune Part 2 staying at the top of the leaderboard in this fight for the box office crown? So far, Kung Fu Panda has made $3.8 million in previews at the box office. It's in over 4,000 North American theaters. Dune Part 2 has made over $200 million worldwide so far after opening up last week with $82.5 million here in the U.S. John, which one of these is going to win the box office this week?
Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2 staying atop the leaderboard according to Mr. Lunsford. Rocky, what's your betting interest? Where does it align?
I'm sure it's just Jack Black. Is all this? Is Dustin Hoffman? All those guys.
Dustin Hoffman's in it, but like the other five that were with him, like Angelina Jolie, Seth Rogen, Jackie Chan, none of them are in it.
And how far away is the third one? Like how long ago was 3?
It's been a hot minute. I don't know
this
exactly.
Thing just popped up out of nowhere for me. I enjoyed the first one. I have not seen 2, 3, so I'm going to be so lost in 4. If he still makes dumb, is Lopan still his dad? I don't know his name. He's just like
Li Shan.
I love you have so many questions and trying to figure out which one of
so
these
I will
two.
go Dune 2 because this is the second weekend, but they've got kids, but I'll go Dune 2.
It's been 8 years. Kung Fu Panda 3 was in 2016.
Dune 2.
Dune 2. You sticking with Dune 2 here, Tyler?
Oh yeah, there's out of the 2 of those movies, I'll probably see one of them again, and it'll be Dune. I might go see it a third time this weekend.
Okay, Dune.
Big
for a
Timothy
third time.
Chalamet fan.
Laurel, Kung Fu Panda, does it have any chance to knock off the
I
top
wouldn't
of the
be
leaderboard?
surprised because I feel like it's spring break and people do want to take their kids to the movies. But this, it seems like they just threw this movie together. The most I've seen about it is him singing Baby One More Time. That's the only thing I've seen.
that is
With
the
Kyle
best
Gass
I've
with
seen.
Tenacious D, so that seems like it has nothing to do with the movie.
I mean, if it beat me,
That's
it
all
wouldn't
they
shock
do,
me
too.
because I mean,
It wouldn't shock me either.
kids movies in
so.
general wouldn't shock me. We talked about Inside Out 2, what it's going to do. Despicable Me, all these kids movies that come out make money because the
Also,
kids go see
one more
them.
thing on Imaginary, there were like 5 Inside Out references. So
Oh
I don't.
yeah, that was funny. They
There
mentioned
was
Bing
5
Bong a million
times.
times in the movie.
It's like one. It's like I was surprised they
like-
mentioned it first.
It's his imaginary friend. Oh, like Bing Bong from Inside Out? Yes, like Bing Bong from Inside Out. It's like, oh, hey, his imaginary friend's evil now. You mean Bing Bong's evil? Yes, Bing Bong's evil.
A lot of. I was
Like,
just kind of surprised.
but his
to see
name
it in
isn't
there.
Bing Bong, it's Chauncey. Oh, it's like Bing Bong? It's like the name's Chauncey. Just say it. I'm sorry. After talking about Inside Out yesterday, which go check our review out at Meltdown 247 on
Yes,
YouTube.
we have trailer reviews there of both the Fallout television series and Inside Out 2. Did they play the Inside Out 2 trailer before Imaginary?
No, they didn't.
Okay, that would have been an extra little tie-in. Let's get into looking at the Oscars this weekend. The broadcast is on Sunday. I want to start with just the hype around the broadcast because every year what you hear is less people watch the Oscars this year than they did last year. I've said for years, John, you can back me up on this, that the Oscars needs to move to a streaming service to where fans of the program can watch it for 7 hours and not have to worry about it being condensed for television format and speeches being cut short, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, the Screen Actors Guild did that this year with Netflix. I thought it worked perfectly, except for the fact they felt like we have to get. Here's what I don't like: these actors and directors and writers and producers and everybody can sit still for a couple of hours. It's like going to see a Broadway show. It's like going to see a movie. By the way, all movies are around 2 hours. And this, for the Screen Actors Guild, they had to stop after every award, and instead of a commercial break, they'd interview somebody. And it's like you can tell that's so all the actors get up, talk to each other, go to the bathroom, whatever, and then come back because that's what they do during commercial breaks of the Oscars or Golden Globes or Grammys or whatever it may be. Put it on the streaming platform, go for 2 hours straight. If it goes long, cool. If it doesn't, cool. Get all the awards out there. Make sure everyone's on TV because, you know, every time they try to pull some awards off, and the Grammys are the worst about this. They only actually gave like 7 or 8 awards on the actual broadcast, even though for the Grammys, there are a million awards for all the different genres and production and all that kind of stuff. It's best to go to the streaming platform. It's best to just knock it all out in one really good, well-produced show and then call it a day at that point.
Rocky, when was the last time you watched the Oscars? Has it been a hot minute?
I am going to make an admission. I have a child, and I think it was last year. It was either last year or the year before. I came to work that Monday, and Scott Forrester, one of our employees on the next round, said something about the Will Smith thing. And I said, what Will Smith thing?
Ooh.
And he goes, you didn't see it? I go, nope. And you haven't been on Twitter? I was like, nope. And then he showed me the clip of the Will Smith Chris Rock slap. That's how much involved I had. More than 24 hours had passed, and I had no clue. Like, that's how empty, because everything with me was absorbed in a child and trying to get it to sleep. But on that hand, long answer short, I never watched the Oscars.
Okay. That's the answer I expected, but we got there.
I just want to just give you an example of
I
something that
appreciate
was
the context.
the most viral moment in Oscar history, and I didn't see it.
Okay. Any questions you may have, we'll answer for you, okay? We'll fill you in. You don't have to do the legwork. You're good. We're your friends. Tyler, are you going to watch the Oscars this weekend?
I might if I'm not busy. I normally
Watching Dune Part 2 again?
Watching
for a third
Dune
time?
Dune Part 2 for the third time, exactly. But I usually don't watch, to be completely honest. I'll pull up the list the next morning and just see who won.
Smart man. But Laurel, we love the Oscars.
We do
it's
love
a
the Oscars.
beautiful day.
It is.
We look forward to it.
It's
I'm
so
watching the
fun.
red carpet coverage.
I do too, because there's always something that happens. You want to see what everyone's wearing.
Does Melissa Rivers any do that? Do they still do that? I know Jones.
It's different people now.
But is it still like, do they still crush people?
No.
Or that's done.
No,
That's
it's
done.
it's all interviews to pump them up, and so it's like, hey Tim, you're in the movie Barbie. Oh, who are you wearing? You look incredible. Whether they look incredible or not, you look incredible. Man, Barbie, it's great, right?
It is, and I'm so honored to be a part of it, and I am wearing Sasquatch tonight, and it is fantastic.
Oh, I
Tim,
know
we need
it
to,
is
Tim, we need to wrap up.
fantastic.
We gotta go. We gotta go to the next.
Oh my God! Real quick, one more question. Real quick, Oppenheimer, it's awesome too, right?
I love Oppenheimer. I saw it multiple times in the theater this
All
year.
right, Laurel, back to you.
The best is when
That's what
you
every
can tell they're
interview is.
interviewing someone and someone really big gets there, because you can hear like the crowd screaming and they're trying to get the person that they're talking to. Because like, oh my, who could just go here?
Some no-name sound engineer. It's like, oh, we didn't have anybody else, but now we do. We got to go to somebody else. It's fine. Watch the red carpet. I feel like has lost a little bit of its luster. But the biggest reason it has to me is because they don't have personalities. They don't have huge personalities. Like, one that's been doing it a lot for some reason has been Laverne Cox from Orange is the New Black. I feel like I've seen her in multiple red carpet things. She's the only person I can even pull out because I liked Orange is the New Black and she's from Alabama. Outside of that, I wouldn't even know who she was. And
Does
it's
Ross
just
the intern still do stuff? I would watch
You
Ross.
have been way off here. I mean, you're about 20 years behind on the conversation. This is the furthest you've been off so far.
No, I do. I remember Laurel had an Oscar party years ago, and I came to that thing, and like I think I left by the time they got to Best Foreign Film, I was like, okay, I got it. But there's 6 hours left. I know, y'all have fun.
I love it. We spend all year in the movie theater, and then it feels like a rushed experience to get the Oscars fitted for TV. I just wish we could watch it on a streaming service and just absorb every single minute of it without it feeling rushed at
You know
all.
what I think would be cool? On top of the streaming aspect of it, which I do believe just for format for stream versus format for TV would be better. But what if like movie theaters had like a viewing party for the
I feel
Oscars?
like some do that.
And you could just go to the local AMC and one of the theaters is dedicated to it. You buy a ticket for $10, $15, but included in that is like a whole big party basically that you get to go be a part of and watch the Oscars. I feel like that would be something cool to do.
Sounds good to me. Rockstar can sleep in there.
Yeah,
The
I'm
three of
out.
us will go to it and Tyler maybe, and then
I was in the other next door watching Dune.
watching Dune. Tyler, come over to the party. Now I'm going to go see Kung Fu Panda after all.
You talked about personalities. One personality we love is Leslie with Way to Wellness. Let's talk about the program in which we're on.
Leslie is a personality there. She's done a great job helping me, helping Jim Dunaway, now helping Tim, helping my dad, Tim, with it as well. Over at Way to Wellness, go to aplanforme.com and you can check out everything there with Way to Wellness, learn more about what they can do for you. And they've built a plan for me. They've built a plan for Tim. We're on slightly different plans there, but you know what? We're different people, even though, we come in at about the same size overall compared to a lot of people. We're different people and we have different habits and, they've talked to each of us and figured out exactly what works for me and what works for him. So go to aplanforme.com. You can figure out your own plan. You can go get a consultation there. They will tell you everything you need to know, and Leslie and her team will get you squared away like they've done with all of us. So go to aplanforme.com for Way to Wellness.
Let's get to Luntz's list now, as John is going to name his personal favorite Best Picture nominees that are up for the Oscars this weekend. And he gets 5 choices out of 10. There's only 10 nominees. There are 5 choices. They went with the full 10 this year, right? They didn't go with 9. Thanks to The Dark Knight, it's the reason why we have 10 nominees now, because there was such an outrage about that film not even being up for the nomination that they said, you know what, we'll expand it to include other films, other types of films. And now John is going to tell us which 5 make the cut for him.
Okay.
Number 5 being?
Batman. No. Barbie. Yeah, you did.
We have Barbie
did not
up
see
on
it.
the board.
The most terrifying thing about doing Lence's list up on the board is I'm going to spell something wrong.
Also, I think we need
Sorry, I
a
hit
camera
the-
on the list.
Yeah.
But that's just a heads up on that. You will not win the award for best cinematography
No.
today.
No, I do appreciate good cinematography, but that's because I'm so bad at it. All right, number 5 on the list, Barbie. I don't know if listening to the next round, if people would be surprised it's this low or just surprised in general that it's this high.
I'm surprised it's this low. I thought it would actually be in the top 3.
Let me say that overall on the year, 7 of the 10 nominees were in my top 13 overall.
10,
Of the 62 films that I've seen all year. So
Wow.
I think it's actually a really solid class just from not that, this is the best 10 movies I've ever chosen, but from the overall movies that were in the top 10 that were chosen. I think this is maybe the best class since they've gone to 10. The year they went to 10 had a District 9 up, a lot of good movies that would never have a chance of winning, but a really good solid class, like you said, kind of after that Dark Knight phase. But look, I know it's Laurel's movie of the year. She can talk about it a lot more than I can, but you know, I like Margot Robbie. I like Ryan Gosling. I like all the side characters they had in it. The music for it was great, an incredible soundtrack with multiple songs nominated. And the best song for me, the Dua Lipa song, isn't even nominated. I thought it would have a chance of getting nominated as well, but maybe 3 is a little too much for one movie. But, you know, it's got humor in it. It's got a decent story to it, even though you're basically just basing it off dolls. And I thought it was a well-done movie.
Laurel, was this your favorite movie of the year?
It was. I love this movie. I know people will say, oh, you know, it's this, that, and whatever. But it was one of the first movies that we actually like laughed in the theater. And I'm not talking about like like an actual, like, this is genuinely funny. I think, you know how you both were talking about directors. I know you said Christopher Nolan and you said, what's the Dune director?
Denis Villeneuve.
See, I think Greta Gerwig, I would love to see her do a Marvel movie, a Star Wars movie. I told this to John all the time. They let every other person do one that's got like one short film to their name. I think she's going to be doing the new Narnia movie. And one thing that she does with this movie, excellent casting. In Narnia, she's going to have Timothée Chalamet. What's the guy from Euphoria? Jacob Elordi, Lady Bird, and Florence Pugh. Like, that's 4 huge people. And I think that she casted this one. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are perfect.
Let me tell you one thing I love about Greta Gerwig, and that is that her press tours to promote her film, where she's with her cast, it never feels disingenuous.
No.
It always feels like they're just hanging out and the interview happens to be going on and they genuinely like each other
Right.
and they want to hang out and they're having a good time. And I think there's a certain thing that should be celebrated there because it doesn't feel like business as usual. It does feel like there's a true bond
And
between
I
her
feel
and
like
her
the
cast.
cast really liked each other. And I know that this has been, Amy Schumer was
That's
almost Barbie.
I was going to ask that question. Do you think if the Amy Schumer
No.
thing went through, this
No.
Barbie would be?
No. It would
No.
be a completely different movie. It would be completely
Man,
different.
would it be considered good, or was it going to be a
No.
disaster?
No.
That's crazy.
And there were several people that were mentioned, and I think this is so funny that his wife, of all people, pointed this out when Ryan Gosling got cast, which, I love Ryan Gosling. And I feel like you're a big fan. I know John is too. But when he got cast, there were so many people that were like, oh, he and Margot are too old. Like, this isn't going to work. And his wife, who is Eva Mendes, she kept all the reviews. And she reposted him when he got nominated for the Oscar. She was like, this is for all the people that said that he was going to be bad in this part, that he was too old. And now he's nominated for an Oscar for it. The movie was the biggest movie of the year.
And she is 3 for 3.
Whoa. Did you just say that Barbie was the biggest movie of the year?
Yeah, it
yeah,
was.
I will
No.
take. I will,
Rebel Moon.
I will
I don't know if
take
you know
on
this.
that man. Come on.
Rebel Moon by Zack Snyder on Netflix was it was the movie that made the most imaginary money
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
that was top of everything and better than Barbie.
Exactly,
I don't know if you
yeah.
know this,
Yeah.
but that's what Zack Snyder says.
That's what imaginary should do. Be like, we made all this imaginary money. We only got $10 million in real money, but
For a second, I thought Laurel was going to kill me because she's like, "Oh, don't do this," and I did it.
yeah, no, we can have an Oppenheimer Barbie debate later. But 3 for 3, Greta Gerwig is Lady Bird was incredible. Little Women as a movie overall, fine, but the cast that she got, it was nominated for a ton of awards. And then Barbie, I mean, she took 3 for 3 and being nominated in the movie she's doing, being nominated for a ton of awards too. So from a critic standpoint, she's at the top.
We're doing an Oscars recap show on this channel. Make sure you subscribe to have the notifications clicked, because on Sunday after the broadcast, me, John, Laurel, we're all going to be reacting in a very organic way to whatever happens at the Oscars. We think we know how it's going to go, but if there's one thing that the Oscars broadcast has done to us the past few years, every time we think we know how it's going, something crazy happens. So you never know, but we're going to be there immediately after that broadcast with you live right here on this channel. But Laurel, one thing I'm going to ask you about for sure is whether or not Ryan Gosling ends up nailing the performance of I'm Just Ken. That's got to be something that you're looking very forward
he's a
to.
singer, right? He has a band.
He was going to be in a boy band. I think he was this close.
He's going to be in NSYNC.
He was going to be in NSYNC.
Well, he was in La La Land.
He was in the Mickey Mouse
He was
Club.
in the Mickey Mouse Club.
Mickey Mouse Club. So, and he has a band that actually has the one song that this popular was in Insidious, or no, The Haunting. That's what I think of every time I hear about him singing. I think he's going to do great. Like, I think that's why they wanted to have him on the broadcast, because they know, I think this is going to be a higher rated year, just kind of how the Golden Globes were, because so many people saw Barbie and Oppenheimer, and like they associate those two movies with films, so they're going to be tuning in to see these people.
And they're up for real awards, not fan service awards like Zack Snyder's
Snyder,
movies. All right, let's go to number 4 on Luntz's list, counting down the 5 best picture nominees that John appreciated most this year, enjoyed the most this year. At number 5 is Barbie. At number 4, I cannot see anything. Past Lives. Okay, this is a movie that I would argue not a ton of people have probably seen, but it has been a part of the conversation ever since it came out that this would be part of the Oscars race. Rockstar's looking at me like a deer in headlights right now.
I didn't make this one up.
For those that don't know what Past Lives is, give the premise, just the premise, based on having seen it and loved it this year, John.
So Past Lives is a movie that's probably 40 to 50% in Korean. It is about a Korean girl who moves with her family to, I think they should move to Canada originally, but they moved to North America for her parents' work. She has a boyfriend in South Korea that she has to leave behind. She comes to America and lives her life here. She grows up, finds an American boyfriend who she then marries, and then starts, but kind of over time reconnects with her old boyfriend, and then is kind of torn between, hey, this is my childhood love versus this is the man that I actually married in North America.
If there was a quote that was put on the movie poster, it'd be something to the effect of, "You never forget your first love." Something cheesy like that.
That may be on there. I don't know.
It may. I don't think it is. Laurel, this is a movie that you've seen now, multiple times?
I have.
Has it gotten better every time you've watched it?
Okay, and I read this on Reddit, which is the source for everything, that's correct. But I liked it when I first saw it, but I looked on Reddit because I was just curious to see what other people were saying. And someone mentioned if you take off the lens is looking this through a love story, it's better. And I agree, because I do not think it is a love story. Like, I do not think the two characters are in love. I think they're maybe in love with the idea of how they used to be. And I think with the female character who's played by Greta Lee, who we love on The Morning Show, I think she sees it as like how she used to be when she was younger and like her Americanized life. I don't think that they were like an in love couple because they were like little kids, I mean,
Yeah, it was just sort of like puppy love.
Yeah.
And
Like
the
their
question
past
is,
lives.
exactly.
will puppy love turn into a divorce? That's really the premise of the movie.
And for me, more so than it being like a romantic movie, I view it as more of a coming of age story, but how your coming of age was altered by your parents' choices of moving from your native land, whether it's America to somewhere else or somewhere else to America, and how most of it takes place as an adult, with her as an adult. But it's look, my whole life has been completely torn apart from me once I've started that coming of age part, to where once I'm an adult, I never really went through what I wanted to go through as a kid. So now I'm kind of going through it as an adult. So even though coming of age, a lot of times it's more like teenager, college age, something like that. Even though it's in your 30s, it's still kind of more of a coming of age and learning how to deal with the world.
There's Past Lives at number 4. I saw this movie as well. I liked it. I didn't love it. I didn't go bananas for it, but it was fine. It's a beautiful film in spots, and it's a beautifully frustrating film in spots. If you see it, you'll know why. All right, let's go to number 3 on Luntz's list. 5 best movies up for Best Picture. This is not a list of what John thinks will win. This is a list of what John enjoyed the most that got nominated for Best Picture. I think we all know. What's winning the Best Picture award.
Batman v Superman.
No,
That wasn't this year,
never.
unless it was re-released in black and white.
Never. Anatomy of a Fall.
Anatomy
I
of a
think
Fall.
Sean would love this movie.
Looking it up.
Tyler and I were talking about this movie. There's more screenings happening even right now in our area of Anatomy of a Fall. This is about to go to streaming. I think next week this lands on Hulu. Anatomy of a Fall is a movie that has had a lot of praise. The big drama around it is not nominated for Best International Feature, but it is nominated for Best Picture. How does that happen? Well, each country has their own rules of how they select which movie they're going to put up to nominate to be one of the 5 selected for Best International Feature. And France decided that they would go with another movie, and Anatomy of a Fall, I think, would have probably locked up Best International Feature had it been on the category list.
1,000,000% it would have won Best International Picture. The weirdest thing, and the thing is every award show does it differently. So like the Golden Globes criteria for foreign film is that the movie has to be 50% in a language that's not English. So a movie like that Awkwafina movie, I can't remember the name of it now, but like The Farewell, it won Best International Film at the Golden Globes. Awkwafina won Best Actress, all this stuff, and it didn't get a single thing at the Oscars because it's an American film. It's just about she goes back to China, and so there's a lot of it that's in Chinese. Past Lives, I don't know if it did qualify or not as an international film, but it's close to that because there's a lot of just Korean spoken dialogue between her and her former boyfriend. The Zone of Interest is a film that straight up takes place at Auschwitz in Germany, and it's a United Kingdom film. It's not a German film or anything other than an English-speaking country. It's actually a duel between UK, US, and then a little bit of Poland too. And then this was the French film that they did not choose. So it's weird because there's a German film up for Best Picture, but it's not The Zone of Interest, the one that's about a concentration camp in Nazi Germany. But it's weird how they do it. Anatomy of a Fall would 100% won Best International Picture, or at least would have been a race with it in The Zone of Interest, because The Zone of Interest is going to clean the floor in that category at least. But Anatomy of a Fall is incredible. It's probably 60% French. There is a decent amount of English spoken in it. It's not all a foreign language, so if you're a little skeptical on the foreign language aspect of it, it's okay. There's a lot of it that's in English, but it is incredible courtroom drama, thriller. It's got a lot of twists and turns. Oh, did she do it? Did she not do it? And it has the single best animal performance I have ever seen in my life.
And he got uninvited from the Oscars.
So that's
what's the story there?
All right. So there's a dog in it. The whole thing is a husband dies and it's did the wife do it or not? And you go through this whole courtroom aspect of did he do it or not? And you're meant to think maybe he did, maybe she didn't, maybe the kid was involved, there's a child involved, and then there's a dog that's involved with the family too. Snoop. And the dog's name is Messi in real life, like soccer player Messi. And so the dog,
I don't know of any other Messis, by the way. Go ahead.
Well, it's not just like your bedroom's messy. It's not like that.
No microphone. That would have been great.
But, anyway.
Say it again, Rockstar.
I said my bedroom.
Okay, there we go.
But so there's a test that happens with the dog in the movie, and the dog plays dead for like 10 seconds. And the dog legitimately acted the entire scene. Like, I have never seen an animal, like if you said, hey, to anybody in this room, hey, play this scene this certain way, none of us would get it right the first time. And this dog absolutely nailed it. And it's an incredible scene. And really throughout the movie is really, really good. It's the first time I've ever said that animal could be nominated for an Oscar. That animal should be nominated for
Have
Best
you ever
Supporting
seen
Actor.
Homeward Bound? Homeward Bound has
There was
multiple animals.
Yeah, there's two
And
competition.
they actually
sorry.
did interviews, and the
Cancel each other
dog
out.
has shown up. Like, he was at the awards luncheon, and like I said, he got some studios with multiple films nominated have asked that he not come to the ceremony.
That's the thing. The studios who are behind all these movies that are nominated said, that dog does not need to be there. How could we have animals there? It's like,
Service
it's a dog. It's literally just a dog. And he's in the movie as a service dog. That's his role in the movie. And they brought a donkey out 2 years ago for the Banshees of Inisherin.
that was just last year.
That was last year.
Yeah.
They brought, because the whole thing in the Banshees of Inisherin is there's a donkey involved in the storyline. They brought the donkey out and had that in there, but you can't bring a nice service dog
But
that's
the dog,
hurting nobody.
They have done interviews with it, and the owner said how they got him. There's one scene that is really, really good. And they said how they got him to do this was they noticed that he looked like he could play dead when he got really tired. And they said before they shot the scene, he has a favorite tennis ball. And they threw it and threw it and threw it until they were ready to shoot the scene. And that's what you see.
Oh, that's how we get Dunaway to do anything up here. We just
But like, you're watching this movie and it's like, that's not CGI. That dog's dead. Like in the movie, and it stays and it stays and it stays. It's like, oh no, it was just playing. But to get a dog to do that, it was incredible. And I know it sounds really weird, me fawning over a dog right now.
yes, it does.
But you go watch the movie, and every
I'm
single one
going
of you
to.
will agree with
when
me.
when it lands on streaming, I'm going to
That dog
watch
was
it.
incredible, and they uninvited it from the Oscars because it was going to come originally. And the studios were like, we don't want a dog here. We're highbrow. We don't want a stupid animal. And so they didn't bring it in. And it's really stupid, but Anatomy of a Fall is an incredible movie. And a big reason why is because of the dog that's in it.
Anatomy of a Paw. It turned into.
Oh,
Let's
wow.
go to
Yikes.
number
All right, I'm leaving. Bye. Sorry.
whammy. Let's go to number 2.
I'm scared if Sound of Freedom's 2 or 1. That's
No,
what I'm worried about.
I mean, Oppenheimer's got to be one of the next 2 spots. It's got to be either here or
Open Hammer.
number 1, or maybe there's an elite category in this one where it just surpasses all the rest. Oppenheimer's right here. What am I seeing?
Boring Things. Oh, Poor Things.
Poor Things.
That's what bartenders do.
I really
Sorry.
enjoyed this movie. We have the chat reacting. We have Charles that says, saw Poor Things last night. Weird movie, but enjoyed it. Great overall look. Emma Stone should win for Best Actress. We have Jody that says, also saw Poor Things last night, and Emma Stone was phenomenal. I dreamed about the chicken/dog last night. That is a very interesting hybrid animal featured in the film.
Yes.
Poor Things just landed on streaming yesterday on Hulu. There's a lot of people seeing it for the first time. I actually want to start with Laurel here, because my question to you is, can Poor Things have the same sort of viral momentum and word of mouth that Saltburn recently had once it landed on streaming?
Yes.
It became a different force.
Because
Is that a fair
Saltburn
comparison?
is like a weird. I loved Saltburn, and it is a weird movie. And this movie is better done. It is a weird movie too. That it's like Barbie. Like John said, he said after we saw it in California, he said this is like Barbie on acid, and it is.
It's like
It
Barbie
is-
and Frankenstein had an acid-filled baby.
I used to think that
a step
that
too far.
maybe they really tried to push Jennifer Lawrence as like the next Meryl Streep or someone, and I do not think it's her. I think it's Emma Stone. Like, Emma Stone is an amazing actress.
That's going to be one of my questions to you. I always have questions. Did you think when you saw Superbad that Emma Stone, like that's the first time I ever saw her in the film, like
House Bunny.
She's going to be going places. Okay, House Bunny, but like, more of a leading role, I guess. Was
Easy
she-
A, yes. But anything outside of that, no. Because that was the only real starring thing she did at first.
An interesting, and I always have to bring up fun facts, was in La La Land, it was originally supposed to be Miles Teller and Emma Watson. I cannot see either one of those people playing those parts.
No,
like
no.
Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, they've done multiple movies together. That works. Like, that is it.
It was perfect for sure. Anytime we can talk La La Land, except for around Oscar season, I really enjoy it because it still hurts my heart. Poor Things is at number 2. John,
The way you are this year with my list is the way I am that year.
this is the first time I'm going to let you sort of have the floor and talk about why Poor Things is such an incredible experience for you.
So it gets the point across in one of the most creative ways I've ever seen. You could look at a movie like Barbie and say it's creative, but you're coming from a certain place of knowing what Barbie is, what the lore behind Barbie, even though there's not like a set story of everything around Barbie. But this is something that kind of gets across a similar message that Barbie tries to get across, but does so in such a unique and innovative way. And Yorgos Lanthimos, that does this movie, I wasn't a huge fan of The Favorite. I like Olivia Colman. I like Emma Stone. I like the people in it. The movie just didn't really work for me. But The Lobster that he did before that is an incredible movie with Rachel Weisz and Colin Farrell. It is a really good movie. Once again, a really weird movie. But he does a really good job making the weird be like, that was weird, but I got a lot out of it. And a lot of times when you see weird in movies, you're just like, that was too weird for me. And there's some movies even nominated for Best Picture this year that's like, it was a little too artsy. It was a little too weird. And a lot of the movies that get nominated for Best Picture are that way. This does an incredible job of being that and being incredible and taking the full package together, which is why it's top 5 movie of the year overall for me, which is why it's number 2 on my list. The acting in it. I think the best supporting actor is Mark Ruffalo. I think the best actress is Emma Stone. I don't think she will win as of this moment, but she would be my pick personally. Willem Dafoe is incredible in it. There's just so much with it, and the set design of it, the costumes, every category. This is probably the only movie that if I went through every category that I wouldn't mind it winning every category from the technical perspective, from the acting perspective, directing, cinematography, all of that.
Voting has closed for the Oscars.
Yes.
So this drop on a streaming service is not going to help its chances of winning. But I wouldn't be shocked if maybe there's a little bit of momentum coming out of the ceremony after Poor Things has an even better word of mouth cycle because it's on Hulu and because it wins a couple of those awards. Who knows?
For him, I think this will be, for this director, it'll be probably the biggest mainstream success that he's had. Somebody like Nolan is going to have plenty more mainstream successes and has already had plenty of them. Greta Gerwig will be the same way. Plenty of these people will be the same way. But this will be one that, like, when you see this director's name, now all of a sudden you'll jump in and be like, that's the guy that did Poor Things. You don't need that with a lot of these other directors.
You have to go into this movie with an open mind. There's no other way to enjoy it fully unless you go in with some sort of open mind. And I think more people will test it out now that they don't have to go to the theater and show up and make that commitment to the IP. They're going to figure out that Poor Things is actually a very quality film and is also the raunchiest movie of the year.
I was about to say, just a warning, even though it looks fantastical, and in some ways you could see it as even potentially a kid's movie just from stills of it and everything, it is by far the hardest R of any of the movies that are nominated for Best Picture this year.
There's one thing I love other than Poor Things, and that's when people are dedicated to what they do. Realtor Jim Wilson with Location Real Estate is one of those people. Realtor Jim Wilson, he's all in for his clients, and he is all in on the real estate moves in which you wish to make. Maybe you're buying, maybe you're selling. Jim Wilson can help you with both. When buying or selling a home, remember our friend Jim Wilson with Location Real Estate. Jim prioritizes honesty and transparency with all of his clients. He's still active with the U.S. military and is able to help you secure the American dream of finding your perfect home. Jim's only happy when you're happy. Make sure you contact Jim Wilson. Let him know the Meltdown sent you. 205-329-4758. That's 329-4758. Or you can visit Realtor Jim Wilson online at jimwilson.locationre.com. That is location with a K. Time to get to number 1 on Luntz's list. Here's the big moment, the big bomb. This is where John drops. This is where John drops it at number 1.
You hear that sound? That's freedom.
How do you spell Oppenheimer? Can you tell him how to spell Oppenheimer? Somebody's telling him how to spell Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
Is that what he's doing? I can't see. Is it Oppenheimer number 1?
Oh, he threw a curveball. It's the holdovers.
Oh, okay. I've never been so silent during Lunch's
The air got
list.
sucked out of this
You knew
one.
Oppenheimer wasn't going to be number 1.
The way Rockstar,
Not even in the top 5.
the way Rockstar felt about your list from yesterday is how
Yeah.
I feel about this trash list from
Yeah.
today.
Power Surge would be better.
How can you
Hey, you
not
know what? He knew it was
respect-
going to be this way, too.
Well, I
He's
thought
just
maybe
been
you'd
waiting.
watched it again last night and it had been elevated to number 1.
I don't have enough time
I
between the
guess
end of the
John's
show
not
one day.
open-minded.
I don't have enough time between the end of the show one day and the beginning of the show the next day to watch Oppenheimer. The holdovers. You like the holdovers?
I loved the holdovers. But
Let me
I
say
don't
this.
see Oppenheimer on this list at all, and I think you did it on purpose.
The whole no, you already know where I stand.
Did it make the top 10 of the top 10?
It did make the top
okay,
10.
good.
The holdovers is the only movie, and I think this is the great thing about it. I think The Holdovers is the only movie that everybody up here that has seen it can agree it is by far a top 5 movie of the year. That, yeah, I may lean, so Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is my overall number 1. This is my number 2. Oppenheimer is your number 1. I think it's your number 2. I don't remember if it's still number 2 or not, but I think at one point it was your number 2. People like Lance, The Holdovers is a movie he comes out thinking, hey, that's the best movie I've seen this year. So many different people can come to a movie like The Holdovers and enjoy it. Oppenheimer, maybe it's a little too long. Maybe Nolan's not your thing, but those kind of people still like The Holdovers. Barbie, maybe it's too girly for me. I don't like all the pink and whatever, but The Holdovers is still there for him. It's the only movie that goes to everybody.
How many times have you seen Oppenheimer?
Like 1.5. I started watching it on Peacock, but
it's better the 5th time. And
I've heard that.
I'm telling you, it's great.
It'll be next year by the time I get to that.
Robert Downey Jr., you don't give that man enough flowers for his performance in this film. You discredit him a little bit because all you can see is Iron Man. The whole world is moving on from seeing him as just Iron Man, and in this performance, he really sheds that.
He's making sure to drag Disney and Marvel each time he makes an acceptance speech.
Actually, all I see from him is the bad guy from Weird Science. That was actually like my first introduction to him before the Marvel stuff started.
He dumped a slushie on him.
He did. It's just, of the Nolan films, this is probably why. Look, it's number 13 for me overall in the year of 60-plus movies. So it's not like I thought it was bad. It's number 7 for me on the top 10 of the movies this year. American Fiction is number 6. It's just not my kind of movie.
So Oppenheimer's 7th, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a piece of history, but that's fine.
I don't know how to hide my resentment for no love for Oppenheimer, but I will try to be the bigger man, and I will power through, both literally and figuratively. I will be the bigger man here. And
you know what? I hope both mine and your favorite movies of the year win an Oscar this week, because they both have the chance to, and they're not competing against each other.
I think it's going to happen. Let's see. We have Jody, who gives a top 5. Top 5, number 5, Barbie. Number 4, a movie not mentioned so far. Tyler, you saw it this week, Killers of the Flower Moon. Should it be on Lunce's list?
No. No, that dragged way too long. There were so many pieces that I liked, but none of it came together. It was a bunch of raw ingredients for 3.5 hours.
Fraser, I just can't believe they did that to that him.
I can't believe they actually promoted that he was in the movie. He said 3 lines.
Why did he look worse than he did in The Whale? That's what I want to know.
Killers of the Flower Moon,
possible.
Number 10 out of 10.
Number 3 on Jody's list, Oppenheimer. Number 2, The Holdovers. Number 1, Poor Things. My 4 favorite movies of the year, and I have a little bit of a technicality in here. Number 1 for me is Oppenheimer. Number 2 for me is the second time I saw Oppenheimer. Number 3 for me is the third time I saw it. No. The second movie that I liked from 2023 the most was The Promised Land. I saw it in 2024, but it's a 2023 movie, so I put it in that list. It's number 2 for me. The Holdovers is number 3. Poor Things is number 4 on my list specifically, and I really love all of those movies. I just love Oppenheimer and The Promised Land that much more. Let's see. Jody also says Paul Giamatti will win over Cillian Murphy for Best Actor. It'll be the biggest upset since Anthony Hopkins over Chadwick Boseman.
Anthony Hopkins 1,000,000% deserved to win that Oscar. I know there was momentum because of Chadwick Boseman passing away. Anthony Hopkins in The Father is the single best acting performance I've ever seen in my life.
It really is. Sean, have you seen that?
It's on my queue. I'm going to see it very soon.
I highly recommend it. It is incredible.
Ever dealt with someone that has had dementia, because I know my grandfather did, it is like watching it in real time.
But isn't that depressing, though? Does that really
the way they do?
Oh, the movie's super depressing.
Yeah, does that?
But it's an incredible acting
It's just
job.
like the performance. Like you can. It's almost like a horror movie, kind of.
I mean, it is
the way that it's framed.
And to Rockstar's point, some movies you just have to be in the right mindset for. You have to be in the right mood for. And I am going to get to a point where The Father is something that I watch very soon. Charles says, watch the first 20 minutes or so of The Holdovers, and it just didn't do it for me. Does it get better as it goes along? Yes. I would say if in 20 minutes you're not liking it, it's just not for you.
20 minutes in, I don't think the story's actually started yet. I feel like they haven't left the school yet. I feel like you kind of have to get through, you're setting the scene for the first 20, 30 minutes, which is still good to me, but then you get into, okay, the kids leave, and that's when the main story begins.
I took 3 bites of this and I don't like it. It's like, well, eat the whole thing and you'll love it. I don't know if we can give that recommendation.
What's the actor's name?
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, that plays the boy. I love that when they
I
were
always forget his
casting for
name.
him, they said that when he went through that, Paul Giamatti said he
Dominic
doesn't
Sessa.
have an iPhone face, which means he looked like an old school actor, which I think that's so great that's why that they cast him, because it's supposed to be like in the 70s or 80s or whatever it is.
The Holdovers was great. I think it takes place in 1971?
1970 into 71.
70
kinda.
into
It's
71?
The Christmas break, yeah.
But it is, I just think, a charming movie. And it's one of those movies that actually is going to get better every year because it's going to become a Christmas classic. I really do feel that way about The Holdovers. It's going to become one of those cozy Christmas movies that you put on. And I think the more people that see that will find it to be a part of their family traditions moving forward.
And it's the only movie coming out of the theater. There were probably 10 to 15 people when we were there. I don't remember exactly, but there were people 80 plus in that theater.
Mm-hmm.
There were people under the age of 30 in that theater, and all in between where we are. And everybody walked out of that movie, and I could tell everybody loved it. Everybody was talking about it. It just hits across all spectrums to me, which is what makes it really, really good. By the way, Paul Giamatti should win Best Actor. He will absolutely not win Best Actor, though.
One of the categories that's up for grabs right now is actually something Tyler may feel passionately about, and it is for Best Visual Effects. And there's two movies right now that are fighting for this title. One in which you may not have seen, The Creator. Have you seen The Creator?
I have not.
Okay.
It looks interesting, though.
You should.
I'd like
It's
to
good.
check it out.
The second one is Godzilla -1. Those are the two sort of that are fighting for this. I think The Creator is going to have the edge and is going to get the win. That's my personal opinion.
I agree.
But Godzilla -1 is right there in contention. How happy would you be to see that movie take home some hardware?
I would be overjoyed to see it. It's already taken home Best Picture in Japan, but it's not the Japanese submission for Best Foreign Film. That's
Same sort of thing.
another little weird.
I do think they messed up there by not putting it in there.
Yeah, Perfect
Perfect-
Days.
Perfect
is the
Days.
nomination there, but I would be very happy to see Godzilla -1 win. They did so much with a small budget, and it was one of the best looking Godzillas I've ever seen.
They made the most of their budget, yes, because that movie was only made for like what Imaginary cost to make. Did you know that?
Yeah, I don't
It was
remember
only
exactly
made
what
for
it was,
like
but
$12 million, Godzilla -1. And I'd rather see that a million times over than see this new Godzilla movie that's coming out.
Exact same
Godzilla.
budget.
100%.
12.
Like Godzilla X Kong cost what, like $200 million
Oh, yeah.
at least.
We like to spend here in America. Laurel. There's a movie that has not been talked about this entire time, and I find it surprising if you would have asked me 6 months ago what we'd be talking about at this point. Do you know the movie I'm talking about that has not been brought up, that had a lot of hype behind it?
Which
A lot of
one?
Oscar buzz? Maestro.
Okay, and
Maestro not been talked about.
listen, I know y'all like him. I have never been a Bradley Cooper fan. I just cannot get behind him.
I don't-
And I'm glad that more people, because he's been saying some weird things in some interviews lately. But I think
Does
it
he
was
prefer to be
too-
called Maestro now?
I think it was too much like Bohemian Rhapsody. Like the movie is set because you know if they're making a film about someone that's going to have a tragic, it's got the story steps that you've got to follow.
Story steps actually are identical to Freddie Mercury in that movie. It's just two very vastly different music when it comes to it.
I don't know if there's something. He's been nominated so many times. I don't know why he hasn't won yet. So there has to be something that's going on here. I don't know.
Bradley Cooper believed wholeheartedly in this movie, and he gave it, you can tell, he gave it everything he had. And the world said no thanks. Can you imagine how that must feel? He gave it everything. Bradley Cooper can't really be blamed for this project not hitting with audiences the way it was based on pure effort alone.
Based on his acting effort alone, no. Based on the fact that he did everything with this movie, he can be blamed because it's his movie. That the movie didn't, like Carey Mulligan, I thought was pretty good. I think deserves to be nominated for Best Actress. I have no problem with Bradley Cooper being nominated. But every other aspect of it, the writing, directing, producing, everything, of which Bradley Cooper did everything, not it. And that's where he's at fault. Now, once that camera turns on, he's incredible. And look, he's been nominated for a ton of Oscars, a lot of those production Oscars. He's behind a movie like Joker. He's done plenty of things.
The movie that I think he's the best in that y'all hate is, I think, Licorice Pizza. I think he should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor for that role because I think that's He looks nothing like himself. He acts completely different than he does in any other movie. I think that's one of his best performances.
I found it interesting that he gave Barbara Streisand that Lifetime Achievement Award, and he ended up playing Barbara Streisand's boyfriend in that movie, Licorice Pizza. It was just kind of a strange thing to me. But Bradley Cooper, a big swing, and it looks like a big miss, but hair and makeup looks like it's going to get the win for Maestro. That may be the only thing Maestro wins.
And it's so crazy. It's literally getting it for one tiny little thing, a nose. It's literally getting that award because Leonard Bernstein has a big nose.
I don't know. There's a lot of hair and makeup choices in there that aren't just that.
There's a lot of, but if you say what's the biggest hair and makeup thing that stands out of the entire year, it's his nose. That's literally it. I'm not saying the rest of the movie's not good, but every movie has stuff like that. Just the main character has a big nose. Because think about this. This is not against their acting performances. Brendan Fraser wins an Oscar. What is it? He's in a big suit. Darkest Hour, Gary Oldman wins. He's in a big suit for playing Winston Churchill. Those kind of roles always seem to be, it's good, but what put it over the top? They had a gut in that one, so it was
Christian
really good.
Bale won for sizing up in Vice, didn't he? He won for playing Dick Cheney.
Did he win for Vice?
No, he won for playing
he won
the
for
boxer.
Big Short. He won for The Big Short.
I thought he won for Dick Cheney.
Oh, I don't know.
I thought he won for playing the boxer.
Look it up. I could have sworn
The
that
fighter.
he...
Is
Yeah,
that-
I thought he won for The Big Short.
Okay, let me know. I hope Poor Things wins production design, but I wouldn't be upset if Oppenheimer ends up winning it. But Poor Things has amazing
He won
production
for The Fighter.
That's what I thought.
Laurel wins. American Hustle, Big Short, Vice, all nominated, but didn't win.
He did not win for Vice?
Nope.
Who won that year?
2019 was that year, and he lost to, once again, the exact same thing. Big Teeth with Freddie Mercury for Rami Malek.
Got
It's
it.
that one little thing. Once again, it's not a knock on their performance, but every single person that wins, you can point to that one little thing they changed about their look. He had the big teeth, so they looked like Freddie Mercury. Bradley Cooper had the big nose, so he looked like Leonard Bernstein. It's
Nicole
just that one
Kidman,
little
when
thing.
she played Virginia Woolf, she looked completely different. Oh, Charlize Theron, she bulked up for Monster.
There's a couple of toss-ups. Another one is for Best Animated Feature. This is one you're very passionate about, John. You want Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse to win. I know that both you and Tyler have both seen that film and The Boy and the Heron. Which one's going to walk away with the award?
As a betting man, I would say take The Boy and the Heron because it's a slight underdog to where you make your money back. So at MyBookie.ag, go play that. But I want Spider-Man to win. It was my favorite movie of the year. I think there's a chance. To me, by far the best trilogy ever is Lord of the Rings. And I think there's a chance for both, once they reach the finish line, because the first two are incredible, for the Spider-Verse trilogy and the Dune trilogy to pass that. And Across the Spider-Verse did that this year. The Boy and the Heron was not bad. Once again, it's like Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer was not bad. It's just I liked other stuff better than it. The Boy and the Heron was not bad. It's just Across the Spider-Verse was much better. And The Boy and the Heron had an incredible American voice cast, but it's got to be Spider-Man to me. But there's a chance.
The biggest lock of the entire night, and as an Oppenheimer fan, it hurts me to even say this, but it's not Oppenheimer as the biggest lock of the night. If I had to bet my life on it, Divine Joy Randolph winning as actress in a supporting role, and that is a lock of all locks. Actor in a supporting role, Robert Downey Jr. is currently looking like the heavy favorite. A lot of these look like we're going to be seeing heavy favorites taking home the gold, but actress in a leading role, we've already talked about it, Lily Gladstone versus Emma Stone. Right now, it's Stone versus Stone, and Gladstone seems to have the upper hand and is really riding a wave of momentum and is probably going to end up winning the award. Cillian Murphy, everybody here safe to say that he's going to win it over Paul Giamatti?
Yeah, I mean, I would love for Paul Giamatti to win, but I don't think he will.
Christopher Nolan is going to get that Best Director win that I've waited for so many years, and then Oppenheimer is going to walk away your Best Picture winner unless we see something absolutely insane and crazy. It would be the biggest upset in Oscars history if Oppenheimer does not win Best Picture. I've had a lot of Dune fanboys telling me that Dune Part 2 would have beat Oppenheimer for Best Picture had it been released in 2023.
I'm not saying it would have, it could have.
That's the world we never have to live in because it's not up for any awards.
Thank the writers.
It came out last weekend. So all of you Dune fanboys, you can enjoy next year if you think you've got
Thank
a
the
winner on your
writers,
hand.
because that's the only reason it didn't come out.
Is Dune going to win next year? Dune going to win a year from now? Are people going to forget
We'll
about
have
it?
to
What's
see.
going on?
Coming out in March, I don't know. But it was supposed to come out in November.
If I go see it 3 times, I don't think I can forget.
You got to see it 5 times so it matches Tim, so then it will win.
You gotta
Best
go
All
see
right,
it to get
I'll
the-
try and beat Tim.
to
I'll
get
see it
the
a
third
6th
movie,
time.
Greenlit.
John, if you're a betting man, where do you need to go?
Go to mybookie.ag as he's reading off every category. I can sit there and read everything. Lily Gladstone, Emma Stone. Lily Gladstone minus 202, Emma Stone plus 161. But that gap every single day, it's just inching a little bit bigger and bigger. The absolute lock of all locks is not Divine Joy Randolph, even though she's a pretty big lock. The lock of all locks is Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, and Robert Downey Jr. right now on MyBookie. So go to mybookie.ag, find you a few underdogs in there like I did, and sprinkle a little money in there, see what happens when it comes to the Oscars. They do have every category up to pick there. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with our friends at MyBookie. Make sure to use promo code next round.
If you're looking for the best burger in town this weekend, check out Culver's of Birmingham or Culver's of Hoover. Something there for the entire family, but they're giant butter burgers. My goodness, it just makes my mouth water so much. I cannot wait to get back to Culver's and enjoy that with a side of those cheese curds. It's all happening there at Culver's. We appreciate them. This has been The Meltdown, presented by MyBookie, broadcasting live from the Culver's studio.